Hi, I'm Scott Jensen, former Assembly Speaker.
I'm Chuck Chvala, former Senate Majority Leader.
And we're the insiders. So Chuck, last time in 2016 in the presidential race, it was 47% for Clinton, 47% for Trump, and then 6% for third-party candidates. And it was the third parties who really, in the end, let Trump win this race here in Wisconsin. Now this time, the Wisconsin Supreme Court doesn't look like we won't have the Green Party on the ballot. Doesn't look like Kanye is going to be on the ballot. How's that going to affect the race this time?
Well, there will still be a third party. There will be a libertarian third party. So people will have an option. So if people really have a problem with both candidates and want another option, they'll have it. I think those are placeholders. It is slightly different, though, because the Green Party is something that would appeal much more to the Democratic side of the aisle. And the Libertarian would, by and large, appeal more to certain elements of the Republican Party. So there's a slight advantage there to Dems. But probably the most interesting thing about the Supreme Court decision, which kept the Green Party off, is that once again, Justice Hagedorn decided to vote with the progressive minority on the court, doing what I thought was the responsible thing, saying, look, we've got an election to go with, we've got to get done with this, and did not allow the Green Party to get on the ballot, given the problems that they had. People may not want the details, but we are the insiders. Someone had moved, their vice presidential candidate had moved, and therefore some of the signatures that they had were not reflecting accurately where her residence was. But the bottom line here is, I think the more important thing is we have now seen twice that Justice Hagedorn has decided to take on the John Roberts role at the state level. He is someone who wants to say, I will look at the law and I will decide based on that. I think the Republican or conservative members of the court here are making a big mistake. They're going after him and kind of berating him for his positions. I think that they are creating a situation where Hagedorn might decide that he could permanently be in the middle on this, and that would be an interesting and a good place, I think, for the Wisconsin Supreme Court to be.
Well, when Hagedorn ran, he said he was going to call him as he saw him. He said he was going to be an independent on the court. I think he's starting to show that. Most of the time when he's made these sort of independent decisions, I would argue that it was a matter of pragmatism. In this case in particular, by federal law, those ballots needed to get out for military votes around the world. And also, we've got over 1 million people in the state who are planning to vote by absentee ballots. You can't delay those getting out. So I think he kind of said, well, it's pretty obvious that the Green Party didn't meet the qualifications for this. Let's make sure we get those absentee ballots out. So I view that as more of a pragmatic decision than any sort of shift to join with the progressive Democrats on the court in any sort of permanent alliance. I think it was just a pragmatic decision in the moment by Hagedorn.
I do think that you're correct. I don't see any great philosophical shift. I mean, Hagedorn is a conservative, and he's not going to change his views in that regard. However, I do think that he is testing the waters here for being someone who could be more open when things are particularly partisan, and instead say, you know, I'm going to take a pragmatic look at this. And he could accumulate to himself enormous power on that court if he does so, because things are so partisan. And that is something that Supreme Court justices, both at the state and federal level, have done over time. And if he chooses to carve out that space for himself, he will have power way beyond his relatively junior status on that course.
Plus, there's a new wrinkle here, right? The members of the court elect their Chief Justice now, which has not happened before. Might be a play for an early promotion by Hagedorn.
I have to admit, Scott, I have thought about that. Not surprised that you have thought about that. This is actually a rather easy move for him if he decides to do so. And I think that the Republicans or the conservatives on that court, they ignore him or treat him with disrespect at their own peril.
Well, there'll be many more chapters in this book.
See you next time.
See you next week.